Thank you. We just recently launched the Galaxy S series of tablets that is going to come out in most of the carriers, all the tier 1 carriers out here in the US. So the Galaxy S series of the tablets are just 7-inch, so it can go in your pocket. So it's a much smaller size. We have a couple of them on demo out there in the demo area, so just in case you guys want to play with it, you can play with it. So there's another trend that's happening out there in the industry in terms of the Internet of Things. Okay, multiple devices talking to each other, multiple devices, multiple connected devices working with each other. Think of it this way, you're playing a video on your handset in the car, you're driving, you come back home, you pause the video and say play it on the TV, it starts to play on the TV. Or you recorded a game in your home set-top box, you're sitting in Seattle, you want to play it back on your mobile handset, you can still do it. Okay, so those are some of the concepts that are being worked on right now, and you will see them much more pervasive in 2011, 2012 timeline. So there are many more devices that are going to be connected to your home hub, if I may say. So as MJ was talking about TVs, credit cards, ships, X, Y, and Z. So we are working very closely with all the other teams inside Samsung and in the external space as well to make sure that, okay, all share, we call it all share becomes a reality in terms of making sure that, okay, all these devices can talk to each other, can communicate with each other. So think of a house where there are like about 20 connected devices, and all the 20 could be connected directly to the broadband network, or it could be connected to the Wi-Fi network, which is basically going to be connected to the broadband network. So what I put the Galaxy S phone there. It could be a tablet, it could be any other phone. It's just that, okay, that's where the industry is heading, meaning, okay, there's a lot more connected devices that are coming into play into your house, because of which there's going to be much more interaction between devices. With that, since I see that many people are here from the ecosystem, there's going to be a lot of innovation that's going to happen here. I put in this slide just for the sake that, okay, we are connected TV teams have an ecosystem. They have opened up the TV for TV-based application development. There are tons of applications that are available today. It could be one of your applications as well. With that said, it's again, Samsung has a group called the Samsung Mobile Innovator. What it does is basically they help companies out there in the ecosystem to basically, in terms of APIs, how do you develop for Samsung devices? For example, the Samsung tablet has a front-facing camera. Android doesn't provide APIs for now for the front-facing camera. Then what other hardware accelerators or whatever APIs that are being provided by Samsung? You could go to Samsung Mobile Innovator to get some access to APIs, how to work with Samsung and stuff like that. That said, I'm open for questions if anybody has. Yeah.
So, two-part question.
Sure.
How would the phone that you just described compare to the iPhone on AT&T? And the second part of the question is, with AT&T's known limitations on bandwidth, how well do videos actually play, and how good is the capability?
So in terms of the first question, in terms of display, the display resolution and the processing power, and in terms of display resolution and the processing power, this is a very good device. And in terms of background application processing, it runs Android, so it can do multi-processing. It can have multiple applications run at the same time. In terms of the second question, the media hub that we have on our device, okay, right now what AT&T has said that all the downloads happen through Wi-Fi. The previews can happen through the 3G network. For now, it is going through Wi-Fi, but other than that, okay, it still is running through the AT&T network. for data. Yes, please.
Just wondering about the differences between Apple and Android. Where do you see Android going in the next 3 to 5 years, and how do you think Apple is going to react to that?
If you've seen it, right, okay, just about a couple of weeks back, there were in press conferences, okay, there have been a lot of talk about Android versus Apple and stuff like that, right? What's happening is I see a much steeper curve for Android in 2011. 2010 has been huge. So, for example, off the hat, probably I could even say that, okay, we probably, in the US, we had about 12 plus Android devices get launched. And in the first 3 weeks of the announcement of the Galaxy S, we sold over 1 million. And then these are all public data that's available. So in the first 3 to 4 weeks, I think we sold more than 1 million. And then after another 5 weeks, they said we sold more than 5 million devices. So that's the hockey stick effect that's happening out there in Android, not just only because of Samsung. You can see a lot of OEMs coming into this industry, right? Okay, HTC has a lot of Android devices. Motorola has a lot of Android devices. So Android is getting to be a larger factor. With the tablets, there are going to be many more tablets coming out by the end of the year. So by the end of the year, you could probably see about, there was another OEM that announced about 8 mobile phones just about 2 weeks back at CTIA. Android is getting a lot of momentum. Today, they're doing about 200K devices a day, is what they say. Okay, as compared to other devices, this is growing fast.
Great.
Any more questions?
Any other questions?
Could you talk a little bit about the mobile policies, the way they affect innovation in the tech world for mobile? For example, a lot of the carriers have moved away from all-you-can-eat data plans towards 2 gig caps and things like that. How does that affect innovation for a company like Samsung and its sort of acquisition targets?
See, what I've seen is there's no restrictions on innovation. Okay, people will find a way to figure out solutions for innovation. One of the good aspects is basically, I would say, Facebook as a very good example of innovation, making sure that it is data plans were not there. Okay, data plans came in, then the Facebook aspect came up, and then everybody started using Facebook, right? Okay, there are going to be multiple business models, competing business models out there in the industry. Okay, and innovation will prevail. Okay, and with respect to Samsung, we have tons of groups that are working with innovators. So most of the signature experiences that I spoke about came from the ecosystem. Okay, we are just part of enabling that ecosystem. So there are companies out here who have provided us with solutions that we have integrated into our devices. Yes, please.
Yes.
Did I answer your question? Okay.
Do you foresee superphones displacing tablets and netbooks?
I would say that there is a place for each of these devices that are going to come in. HP, I think there has been data out there in the market. There are some people worried that it's going to replace the laptop market. The tablets are going to replace the laptop market, and some people saying that the tablets are going to replace the phone market. I personally feel that the phone market is going to be still there, but then the tablet market is going to gain a niche area in terms of penetration into multiple other areas like doctors and other areas. I don't see anything getting replaced. I think it's just going to be much more consumption of devices. So think of the times when probably not many people had mobile phones. Now people probably have 1 or 2. And if you go to Asia Pacific markets, I'm from India. I go back to India, I see people having like 5 phones. Okay, 1 for incoming call, 1 for outgoing call, 1 for there, 1 for here, right? Okay, so things are going to change. So there are going to be many more devices that are going to be. A lot of people keep talking about there's going to be only one device and everybody connects to it. That's my personal thought.
Okay, when you speak about Android, the Android market is actually fragmenting. So there's multiple versions of Android, multiple UIs. What advice do you have for developers with this challenge?
So even, it's a two-part question, I would say. Okay, the first is on the UI part of things, right? Okay, all OEMs are trying to differentiate themselves with their UI, UX experiences. So Samsung has something called TouchWiz. That's the experience that we've been providing. Other OEMs have their own experiences. But on that scale, still the APIs are nearly the same, or are the same. It's based on the UX, things don't change. Okay, the APIs are the same. The other question was fragmenting on the Android market. Fragmenting on the Android market in terms of what's happening out there is there are operator areas that are happening out there in the market. Okay, is that what you are trying to say, or it's based on the versioning? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just more complexity. But then what's happening is we announced this tablet, though Android 2.2 was probably not. Google said that Android 2.2 was not meant for the tablet, but then what I'm seeing is that, okay, I take the tablet, I download 20 applications, they still run. Okay, if the application developers have really taken use of the screen size and made sure that, okay, they're doing the right things, they still run. Yes, there's going to be fragmentation out there in the industry. Let me be very frank, right? Okay, the fragmentation is there to stay. There's going to be a lot of innovation that's going to happen out there from everybody. Think of a case where Android supports, okay, only 4.4-inch displays. Then all the OEMs are going to have 4-inch displays. You're going to walk into a store, you're going to say 50 phones which are going to look at the same, right? So everybody's going to innovate in terms of hardware, in terms of software, and that's going to fuel the ecosystem.
So I have a question on fragmentation beyond the smartphone space. It was interesting you mentioned about feature phones and then multimedia optimized phones. Mm-hmm. Where do you see Samsung placing its major bets, and how do you see that evolving over time?
We are a global mobile phone manufacturer, right? So again, for the US market, okay, we are doing a lot of work around Android. Okay, that's where we are seeing a heavy momentum. For other markets, you can look at it from a feature phone level to a super phone level, right? Okay, based on the market, based on cost pressures, based on the platforms. Okay, we have our own homegrown platform called Bada for a certain market out there in the industry. So we will be placing bets on different markets based on different segments. So for the US, we are very bullish on Android. Does that answer your question?
Great. Okay, we have one more question.
Billing and monetization has been a problem for Android developers. You know, there's this, on the open storefronts, there's Google Checkout with a very generous return policy that, you know, means there's a lot of returns for developers. Some